Good morning. China is now by far the world's largest producer of farmed fish and now produces more than the rest of the world combined at over 50 million tons per year. India is the world's second largest producer at 10 million tons. Adding China and India together, we're getting 65 million tons of farmed fish per year. Successful aquaculture has been crucial in keeping the human population fed. This is the production of protein sources by decade from fish, farmed fish, and naturally caught, then for beef, pork, and poultry. Fish from all sources is still the most important source of animal protein in human diets, and fish from farms will soon pass poultry as the number one source of animal protein. And China is the source for most of that. Over the past 3 decades, aquaculture has more than quadrupled. In fact, China's fish farm industry is now so productive that it's wrecking markets around the world for the most expensive fish products. China today is the world's leading producer of caviar. Italy and France are the biggest producers of caviar in Western Europe, and now producers there are struggling because Chinese caviar production is pushing down prices. Italy produces 65 tons of caviar per year, and this one Chinese company, Kaluga Queen, produces 200 tons. Caviar and other seafood is highly perishable, so it needs to be sold quickly, and new production by China results in immediate price reductions across markets. Caviar is very expensive, up to this would be $1,400 per kilogram, 630 US dollars per pound, and a lot of it now comes from Zhejiang province. That's because caviar tends to come from sturgeon, but sturgeon are being overfished across the world outside China, and it's little wonder if their eggs are $1,400 per kilogram. So now the shift is to producing sturgeon on farms instead of in the wild, and this plays to China's strengths. Commoditizing a product under mass market, mass production conditions is what China does very well. So today, China is the leading producer of caviar, and especially caviar from sturgeon. Russia and Iran are the other top producers outside Europe, and their exports are limited by international treaty until their sturgeon stocks recover. So that leaves China, who went from being a major importer of caviar to the world's top producer of it at 60% of the global total, and now they're the world's top exporter. In 2023, China exported 276 tons of caviar, which is almost twice as much as in 2019. China even supplies the American market, despite high tariffs there in the US. So now 60% of caviar imported by the United States comes from China, and 84% of Europe's imported caviar comes from Chinese farms, with a lot of that coming from Zhejiang and Sichuan. That's caviar and sturgeon. Chinese companies are also focusing on other high value fish in huge farming operations onshore and offshore. Atlantic salmon is threatened by overfishing, and Norway has just seen the worst salmon runs in history, and they're closing their rivers to salmon fishing. The same is playing out for North Atlantic salmon, whose stocks are at an all-time low. So Norwegian companies are setting up joint ventures in China to farm salmon here. Ningbo is in Zhejiang province, not far from Shanghai and Hangzhou, and it's the first large-scale onshore salmon farm in China. Chinese companies are also investing heavily in farming salmon, both onshore and off. This company uses giant octagonally shaped cages with room for 300,000 salmon, and their vessels will be much larger in the future. Stock density on these offshore facilities is 4 to 6 times traditional net pens. Eventually, I hope that offshore aquaculture in China will be more than 600,000 tons a year. The reason that the sturgeon are overfished is that they taste good, and consumers will pay a lot of money for it. Same with Atlantic salmon. Consumers around the world are still paying good money for good fish, but now they're buying it from China. This is Weihai in Shandong province. Be good.
Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before men, so they see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Love the Lord your God